Today we take you to the Motor City. I'm Paul Comfort, and this is Transit Unplugged. Today's guest is Tiffany Gunter. She's the CEO of SMART, or the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation in Detroit. We sat down together in person at the Think Transit conference in Boston just recently and recorded this great interview where Tiffany discusses her career journey, what led her through the local MPO to the CEO role there at SMART. She also demonstrates how she's a hands-on leader, getting deeply involved in the day-to-day affairs of the operation. I remember when I met her maybe a year ago for filming our Detroit TV Transit Unplugged TV show. She was the deputy CEO at the time. And I remember when I interviewed her, I said, "What's next on your plate?" And she said something like, "I want to, we got to fix the plumbing in building 9, So even then, she was always really a hands-on leader. But she also notes the importance of staying connected to the elected leaders and the decision makers in her region. She's got a real passion for Detroit. I think that comes through to today. And she's got a vision for how SMART is helping the Detroit region in its resurgence as one of America's amazing cities. I was so impressed with Detroit when I went back there last year to film our episode. And Tiffany's going to share even more about what their transit system is doing now moving forward. Join me in this conversation recorded live in Boston with Tiffany Gunter, the CEO of SMART in Detroit. Great to be with my friend Tiffany Gunter, who is CEO of SMART in Detroit, and we're here at the Think Transit Conference. Thanks, Tiffany, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tiffany and I are old friends. How long have we known each other? Maybe 10 years? 8 to 10 years?
Longer than that. I think we met in 2006 in
Wow.
Atlanta at a conference.
And what were you doing back then?
So I was the transportation planner for SIMCOG, the Metropolitan Planning Organization in Metro Detroit.
Isn't that something? Well, and I had you on a panel, right?
You did.
Yeah, that was fun. I remember that. But we're here at Think Transit. This is the conference we do once a year where we have an executive summit. We had about 70 people in a room all day yesterday for the Think Transit Executive Summit. What'd you think of that?
Oh, it was wonderful. We had a great exchange. The networking was amazing. Listening to conversations about how to deal with fare technology and AI integration for your organizations and recognizing that we're all kind of in the same boat and trying to figure things out was really helpful, very validating for us. And it kind of set us on a path for what to do next. So I really appreciated the discussion.
When I put these agendas together, invite people to it, I like to try to ensure there's good interaction between all the executives there. Did you have good engagement and meet a lot of people and stuff?
Absolutely. The tone and tenor was really chill. It was a chill vibe, right?
Yes.
We had a lot of fun yesterday at our evening event, and I got to meet people who I've been looking at and knowing on LinkedIn for so long, and got to have conversations with them, and meaningful conversations. So the networking was wonderful.
That's good. And what'd you think about that last session? Was that any good? About
Which
the
one?
book?
Oh, the last session about the book. Listen, I was so into that conversation. The X factor is something that I leaned in. I think everybody in the room really heard and understood when your passion and your ability intersect and what that can create. It's like it's exponential growth, right? That comes from that. When you enjoy what you do every day, that
Yes.
is something that we get to enjoy. I think it might be particularly unique to the public transit industry because we get to help people. And also, we get to problem solve so many things. It's like a kid in a candy shop some days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen you really come into your own, Tiffany, in this role as CEO. Do you feel like you have found your X factor?
I definitely feel as if I have found my X factor. Funny story, when I didn't start in public transportation. I don't think any of us actually intend to
Yeah.
necessarily
We fall
go this
into
way.
it.
We kind of
Yeah.
fall into it. I remember working in the private sector. I sent a joke email to an old professor of mine at U of M, and he happened to be the HR director at SIMCOG. And he's like, "Here's a job position that I think you'd be great at." It was for urban planner. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is exactly. So I go and I interview with the guys, Carmen Palobo and Jerry Rowe. And in the interview, I'm like looking at the long range plan going, do you guys want anybody to read this? It's not all that engaging, but it's great information. And like, what would you do? And this is early 2000s. I'm like, have you heard of infographics? Maybe a different way to tell a story. And I just knew I went in there, I messed this interview up because I might have been too much, right? They called me before I got to my car and offered me the job. And I was like, they told me how much it paid. And I was in the private sector and I was like, whoa.
Not very much. Huh? Yeah.
It's gonna be a little
Welcome
different.
to the reality check of government work. You don't go rich in usually these jobs. Yeah.
But the work, it was so intriguing to me, and what I had been doing at the time, I wasn't that into it. I didn't have a passion for it. So I said, well, let's give this a shot. I'm a kid. I'm young. I can
Yeah.
adapt, right? So I had just graduated from college. I was kind of, high on my own intelligence, all the things, right? And so I asked them, what's the hardest thing you have to do here? And I got
Oh,
a
that's an
chuckle.
interesting question. The hardest thing, huh?
Yes, and I got a little chuckle, and they said, give her public transit. And I
Wow.
was like, I don't know fully what that means, but I'll find out. And they weren't kidding. It is not easy, but man, once you get into it, it's almost like if you're a puzzler and you like to solve problems, you can't stop doing it until you feel as if you've seen some progress. And there are certain things that are a lot of delayed gratification in public transportation, but there's a lot of things that you can get instant gratification from. And I like to kind of weave my way in between the two, day
Yeah.
to day still, even.
So last time you and I were together, I was in Detroit filming an episode of our Transit Unplugged TV show. That was last year sometime. And you were deputy CEO then. I remember interviewing you on the bus. We were going to the Rosa Parks Transit Center, maybe on the
Yes,
bus. Yeah.
yes, we were.
And I was very surprised. As deputy, you're kind of responsible for the day-to-day operations of the whole agency, but you were like super into the weeds. I was like, what's next on your plate, Tiffany? Well, we got to fix the plumbing in building 4 or something like that. And I said, wow, is that what you mean by when you say you get immediate gratification for those kind of things?
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Is that you can see a problem, and if you go to fix it, it's not just instant. There are also things that I get from that long term. When I roll my sleeves up and show up for the team, they see that. And they that's how you exemplify leadership, is being present, right? And so, I'm known for my 3:30 a.m. runs at the terminals. I got to see first pull. You can't expect for
I love
them
that.
to come and experience it, and you don't experience it too. So at first it was a little weird because everybody thought they were getting fired when I showed up at 3 a.m.
Oh,
And I
yeah,
was like,
yeah,
no, I'm not. I come in peace. I just
yeah.
want to observe it so I can understand it too. I didn't come up in O&M. I came up on the policy side. So
Okay.
I'm actually fascinated by what we do every day. I think it's beautiful. When you watch those buses pull from the garage,
Yes.
it is something that people don't experience transit that way. They see it one bus at a time, one shelter at a time. But when you see the magnitude of that
Yeah, it's
first
like a
pull,
ballet dance,
it's
isn't
a
it?
beautiful thing. And I
Yeah.
and I try to help my operators understand my vantage point and what I see so that they can also have pride in what they do. They are delivering a real service that is necessary and needed for the region every day.
Let's take that one step further.
Sure.
You and I were having an earlier conversation, and you were talking about not only do you get out there at 3 in the morning, but sometimes you'll have a staff meeting where you have all your staff come out. Tiffany, that is wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
So many times the administrative staff don't really get into the operations, and they're even in separate buildings, and they don't see what's happening, and it's like they lose track of what we're really doing here.
That absolutely does happen. So
Yeah.
my executive leadership team, they didn't love it when I first let them know that
Really? Yeah.
we're going to have our staff meeting at 3 a.m. And there was some grumbles, of course, and I laughed. I said, "Don't worry, guys, I do it. It does. It hurts, but the thing is, our operators are doing it
Come
every day.
on.
So come on, let's
Exactly.
go. Let's go do this." And so we went for our first run, and it was cold. It was like 27 degrees outside. I said, "Bundle up, because we're gonna be outside." And what I saw happening was you walked in kind of with that cloak of frustration on you, right?
Yeah.
And as they started to get into it, as they heard the roar of the engines as they were getting started, as the maintenance men were moving,
Visceral. Yeah.
it got visceral. And it was like, oh, is this how it works? Oh, is this what a pre-trip inspection looks like? All these little things that they've heard being said in random meetings. Now they're seeing it live action. And then I said, okay, guys, we pull from the garage at 3:45. Let's go stand outside, get out of the way,
Mhm.
and watch them cook, right? They started seeing it, and it was like, wow, you saw the light bulbs going off. That may have been one of our best leadership team meetings, because we had the meeting immediately following at 4:30 in the morning. They were on fire. They were energized. So now when
Yes.
it's time to go out first thing in the morning, they're ready. They're like, what garage are we hitting?
I
What
love
are we
it.
doing when we get there?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you too, we had some issues at one of the garages with the bus wash. It was down in the middle of winter. And if you know Detroit, in the middle of winter, bus wash down, you got salt and
Yeah.
snow, and it's a
Right.
mess, right? And so we get there, and the vehicles, they wiped them down, but they're not. There's one window with, I know if I'm a driver, I need to see out of that window. And I saw one operator come out, and he's got the squeegee and he's washing this one window. And I was like, guys, that's not right. They shouldn't have to do this as part of their pre-trip. They should have the expectation of a clean bus, a clean vehicle to drive when they get to work. So we all went and got buckets and squeegees, and at 3 a.m., we were
Look
washing
at that.
windows.
That's awesome.
That's public service. That's what you're supposed to do, right? I had a couple team members were like, "I don't even know how to use a squeegee. They're young." And I was like, "Let me show you," because they were bad at it.
Yeah.
So we redid a couple windows. But then it was, okay, we can't be here every day to do this, obviously, but let's make sure that our bus cleaners know, while they do a good job of getting that front window clean, if our bus washes down, at least hit those places where you had blind spots. And so we changed the game, had the conversation with the folks at night. They said, "Oh man, we didn't even think about that." They started doing it. Bus operator said, "Thank you. You're welcome.
That's good.
It's our pleasure."
Yeah. How long were you deputy?
3.5
3.5
years
years,
as
yeah.
deputy.
And what were you doing right before that, before you got the
So
job?
I've been, I joke, I was a deputy 12 years. And so I was at I got to think about it. I went to SimCog. I went back to SimCog
Okay, all
for a
right.
short while. I went there for a year to work with their executive director on a project. Saw that through to fruition. But before that, I tried to get out of public transit. I don't know if people know this. It's kind of, I'm telling on myself now. We had the RTA ballot initiative in 2016. So we have the Regional Transit Authority. It's kind of like the overarching authority that distributes federal funding
And that's Ben?
That's Ben Stupka.
Yeah.
Yep. So he runs the RTA. Then you have the Detroit system, DDOT. They stay within that jurisdiction. For the city, they carry, between us, we carry like 23 million passengers a year.
And what are the operations they operate? Robert Kramer, what's his operations?
His bus, fixed route bus.
And then he's got
Well, he's got the people mover
that's
as
it, the
well.
people mover. That's,
And I almost forgot. The RTA has the Q line now.
That's right.
They
Kind
inherited
of a
the
light
Q
rail
line,
line, right?
Yeah, it's a light rail that goes in the downtown.
Yeah, I rode on that. That's
You
all on the
did?
show. Yeah, it's a
That's
great.
right.
Yeah.
So
And then you're in the suburbs, but you bring people into the city, right?
absolutely. So that's how our system works, kind of that PACE CTA deal. So when I was at the RTA, I actually worked with Ben at the RTA. He was my chief planner when I was running the RTA.
Oh, is that right? That's funny.
We all know each other.
Yeah, that's good.
And so we lost by a percentage point. 18,000 votes took it down. And I said, I worked on it for 12 years and then that happened. So I said, I'm going to take a break. I went into city management. Woo-wee. I worked in the city of Birmingham, Michigan, and it's one of the most affluent communities in the region. And when I say that was intense engagement, I was parking director and deputy city manager. And we had a lot of issues with parking because 70,000 people a day wanted to come to Birmingham, and it was like 3.9 square miles.
Why? What's there?
A lot of money, a lot of shopping, a lot of eating, a lot of the good
Okay.
things that people want to come see. So
I
you had
gotcha.
your employees coming in, and then you had all the people that wanted to visit the city. And it was every day, and it was all year long. It wasn't seasonal.
Yeah.
And so we had 5 municipal parking structures, and I was responsible for them. I'm not a civil engineer, but I do have eyes. And so what I did was I said, I have to learn this job. I had to walk around and figure out, what do I need to know? And what I realized was their infrastructure wasn't great. With all the money in that community, their infrastructure needed help. So I hired an independent consultant to come in and assess them. While that was happening, a 350-pound aggregate concrete block fell on a car that was exiting the garage. And thank goodness, no one was in the passenger seat of that vehicle. I shut the entire garage down. That was my lesson in learning how to do the hard things, because I was really unpopular. 70,000 people needing a place to park, and suddenly 300 parking spaces pulled from the system because of safety. I kind of went on a tangent there for you, so I'm going to bring it back to transit. So
Okay.
I did that for a while, but I recognized that I missed mobility. I understood parking cars, and it was the irony of looking at the vehicle sitting there and then showing up and then saying, I can actually move people more effectively. And I got an opportunity to come back to public transportation. So I'm back, and I don't think I'm going to leave again this time. So that's the structure of how we're set up. That's kind of how I meandered my way back into public transportation. And what I see in looking at and understanding transit is understanding the state of good repair and facilities and how you treat your people, how that matters. That's what we're working on right now as well.
You got a call recently. I hope you don't mind me telling a little bit of the story, but I think it tells. I'm actually making notes as we talk about keys to success, and at the end, I'm going to summarize for you what I think they are. You tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
But you got a call late on a Friday night. You're on the couch with your kids watching TV, with your son watching TV, and what was that call?
A ceiling tile at one of the terminals had come down, and it was in a dispatch area where employees were actively working, and it was due to a leak in the roof. We had a lot of deferred maintenance in the garages over the years, and it's starting to come to the point where we're seeing the effects of it, right? So they called me. Like I said, I was in my bonnet. I was chilling. It was Friday. I was taking a beat. And I could have let the team tell me what it was and stay home, but I said, I need to go. If I'm a dispatcher and I'm sitting in that office and a ceiling tile comes down on me or near me, I'm probably thinking about quitting and finding another job, right?
Yeah.
So that's where, presence matters. And so I showed up. I took the bonnet off though, but I had on my hoodie. I wasn't putting on dress clothes. I wanted to come figure it out. So we wandered around that terminal. I was not beyond getting on a ladder with the flashlight, trying to figure out where the issues were, if we could pressure test. The snow was melting, and that's essentially what was happening. The things were melting, and we were finding out what the damage was. And we were sectioning off places. I moved the dispatch team, and I talked to them. I said, hey, I can imagine what you might be thinking. And I was accountable. I told them the truth. Here's how I would feel if I were you, and I understand that. But here's what I'm going to do to try to make it better. We sent them home for a couple of days while we prepared another area for them to work from.
And they work from home?
And they work from home.
Yeah.
Benefits, I guess, that you can say came out of the pandemic.
Right.
And we brought them back to work, put them in another area, repaired the roof, and kept going. One of the greatest benefits out of that was the visibility piece that I didn't know at the time. It was just doing what I thought was the right thing, is that people who have largely been sort of at odds, at cross purposes with the management side, on the labor side, they saw it and they were like, whoa, you guys showed up for us. You cared. And that, like I said, there was some instant benefits and able to see the roof and know where we needed to move and calling out the companies to do some emergency work. But there's also the long-term benefit of them understanding this is a new day, new culture, a culture of care at SMART.
Thanks for listening to the Transit Unplugged podcast. We are so glad you're here. If you're enjoying this show, we know you'll love our other transit industry programs. On Transit Unplugged TV, Paul Comfort explores the food, culture, and transit systems around the globe. You get to see everything. You'll love this show. And every week, we also offer up the Transit Unplugged News Minute, where you can get the latest industry headlines in less than 60 seconds. You can find out more at transitunplugged.com. Now back to Paul Comfort for this edition of the award-winning Transit Unplugged podcast.
Tiffany, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I believe you're destined for greatness.
Thank you.
I'm not kidding. I've known you for a while, and I knew when we were together at Detroit riding the bus, and I interviewed you, and I knew right then, you were destined, if not to be there, somewhere as CEO, and I think there's even greater heights for you to climb. And so whatever it is, but you have, I think, you're passionate about what you do. You've got the instincts that are key, I think, for success. And you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do the hard work. I mean, you said you were raised with brothers and you kind of, were a little bit of a tomboy when you were younger, and you learned how to kind of get right in the middle of things, but you also learned the grace and the elegance that you display so much now. And so I really think you've got amazing things ahead of you. Tell me what you've got going right now at SMART. So you've been there 8 months.
Yeah.
What are the hot topics? What are you working on?
So when I took the helm, I said, I got one thing I need to focus on, back to basics plus.
Okay.
So basics are important, but I can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time. And 2, you made me blush. Thank you. People can't see me. Thank goodness. Because I'm just like, oh, Paul, you're so kind. I wanted to focus on the most important things. And for a long time, our struggles, like many agencies with on-time performance, were very real. Our state of good repair issues. These are the basics, the things that if you do the fundamentals well, I'm a baller too. I play basketball. So
okay.
Every coach I've ever had, you do the fundamentals well, everything else follows.
I love
right?
that. Yeah.
And so we have to do the fundamentals well. So we get into on-time performance. And I also realize you can't bite off more than you can chew. So you have to pick your priorities. And so we started with on-time performance. We started a challenge. And this is fun. I love to tell this story. So if you're a fan of 90s music, you know the group Naughty by Nature, you're down with OPP, yeah. So OTP, very similar, right?
Yeah, OTP,
so,
on-time performance.
So we were joking one day and I said, hey, you guys, are you down with OTP? And they caught on to it almost immediately. The Soul of SMART is fantastic. They say, yeah, you know me. And I said, you know what? Let's make that our challenge, right? So we structured a real challenge around it where we have every day, Sunday to Sunday, 9 a.m. calls on pull time, on-time performance. What happened? What went right? What didn't go right? What are the things you're going to do to make sure that you can sustain the improvements that we're starting to see? We had a communication issue. The dispatch wasn't talking to the maintenance for available buses, and the operators weren't exactly clear on time points. You got to make it clear to people. If you want them to do something, you got to give them the objective so they can meet them, right? So that's what this challenge is about. In 3.5 weeks, I went from 65% on time, and yes, I tell on myself because you can look it up for yourself, to 76% on time. We went up 11 percentage points.
You focused on it. You took that spotlight that a CEO has and pushed it over there, and you focus on the fundamental. What's our number one key performance indicator?
On-time performance. So we're reaping the benefits and hearing and our our customers, they're like, "Hey, you feel like you're on time now because you're showing up so much better for us than you did before." But we're like, "But wait, there's more. We can do more." We're looking at the technology that's going to support our operators with on-time performance. And if I could wave a magic wand and didn't have to go through the rigors of the procurement process, I would put that technology on the buses yesterday.
Yeah.
I have to go through the process. But what we did too is we talked to the union representation and said, "Hey, we are not trying to police you. We're trying to help you achieve your goal. Who wants to do a bad job?" And we partnered with them. We created a leaderboard in every driver's lounge. Each garage has a leaderboard. Who's in front for on-time performance
Oh, I
today?
love
Ooh,
that.
the competition is real.
Individual accountability is the key, isn't
I'm
it?
telling you, every garage wants to be at the top of the leaderboard. They're pushing themselves, right? And so when we talked about introducing technology on the bus that has better directional navigation for them
Yeah.
and understands the schedule, tells you your time points, they're like, how soon can we get it? Because I want to be at the top of the leaderboard as opposed to fighting it, right? Which is what
You've almost
typically
gamified it.
we gamified it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, we did.
Yeah.
And
And what are they going to get if they're in the lead? Is there prizes or?
we're putting together prizes now.
Good.
What they really want is on-time performance T-shirts, the Down with OTP T-shirts. And we're like, you got it. That is
Isn't
an
that
easy
awesome?
win, right? And so they're excited about it. This management is excited about it. And what I drilled it down to, when I talked to the staff about it, every month we have a staff forum, and I talk to everybody. You get online, you can ask me any question. I'm open, right? And what we talked about was nobody comes to work to do a bad job. You're here anyway. But if you are given expectations, but you're not given resources or understanding, you're just going to be frustrated. And that's what I've been seeing for years.
Mm,
So let's remove the veil. I'm not trying to hide from you what I need you to do to make sure that we are all successful.
right.
And one of the things that I find is magical is anytime I talk about transit externally, I always shout out my operators and my mechanics. Every single time. They have become, if I forget, boy, oh boy, they're like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" And I'm like, no, I 100% bring you all into the wins every time because we have to do it together.
Yeah. Let's open the lens a little bit on the
Sure.
city of Detroit. So you and I have had this conversation before. I'm so impressed with Detroit. Detroit got a bad rap for a while,
We
right?
did.
And even my boss, Rod Jones, is from there, and I brought him. You
Oh, that's
remember
right. Oh,
to
yes.
there to see it. And when he walked through that, what Ford has done with the old Amtrak station and
Yes,
the
Mr.
money they've
Gunter.
invested in, how it's become a technology center. I mean, it really touched him even emotionally. He's like, this is just amazing. What's happening? I mean, Tiffany, tell us about the resurgence of Detroit. It's
It is
phenomenal.
amazing. And
Yeah.
I'm a Detroit girl. I'm a daughter of Detroit. I was born and raised, and I have been watching. So I've worked downtown since 2004 in downtown Detroit. When we got down there, I think we had a Quiznos and the Caucus Club. It was a good restaurant in the Quiznos. Campus Martius was just being built out, the park that receives all of the national accolades now. And there was vacancy. I think the vacancy rate was somewhere in the 70%
Oh my
range.
gosh.
Folks just weren't downtown. We weren't promoting it. We weren't talking positively about downtown. And I remember Dan Gilbert, head of Quicken Loans, decides he's moving his headquarters downtown Detroit. Now, in full transparency, I used to have a 9-minute commute from my house to downtown Detroit, which was not good. You should not be able to get into a downtown in 9 minutes, right? When Dan brought his employees down there, it doubled. I went to 20 minutes, and
Wow.
boy, I was mad about it. I said, good grief, these people are in my way. But I also knew these people are going to change downtown. And so watching over the years that focused investment has been wonderful for us to see. Of course, the pandemic set us back a bit. Everybody went home, and trying to get people to come back downtown has been a challenge. But I would tell you the work of the Downtown Detroit Partnership, the Detroit Regional Chamber, the administration, the mayor's office. We just got a new mayor, our first woman mayor in over
Congratulations.
300 years. Mayor Mary Sheffield has taken over, and with 77% support, by the way.
Really? That's
She
massive.
just, I mean, she was the council president for 10 years.
Okay.
And so, a heart
She
for the
proved herself
community,
there, yeah.
proved herself and walked right into that role. And this one, again, she's built for, right?
Yeah.
So looking at the future of Metro Detroit and the region, it's so positive. We have leaders that talk to one another, that respect one another, that really want to see investment. We're seeing ourselves as a region more so as an individual jurisdiction now. And I couldn't be more thrilled to be the glue that pulls them all together with
That's
public
awesome.
transportation and mobility.
When we were there, one of your colleagues, Bernard Parker, who I've become pretty
Yes.
good friends with, he took us over to see the sports complexes and how they're all, tell us about that. I love how they're all together and they're all well served by transit.
Again, part of the resurgence. We used to have the Silver Dome, Pontiac, the Auburn
Right.
Hills for the Pistons. Everything has moved into downtown
The
Detroit. So the
Tigers right there.
Little Caesars Arena, Ford Field. Little Caesars hosts the Pistons, Ford Field for the Lions. Go Lions. We love them.
I love the Lions,
I
man.
love the
Yeah.
Lions. And so we have all of this energy, and basically what it does is it creates an opportunity for us to pull people in from the outer areas using public transit. When we had the NFL draft
Oh, yeah. Tell us about
last year,
that.
we said, how do we plug into this? And the city of Detroit got really serious about plugging in with all the partners, including SMART. Even though we're the suburban system, we absolutely serve the city of Detroit too. And so, and plugging in with them, we carried 30,000 people that weekend on shuttles from the suburban communities into downtown
Amazing.
Detroit. We alleviated
Hundreds of
stress.
thousands of people total came in,
Hundreds of
right?
thousands,
Yeah.
780,000 people, I
Wow.
think, came in. We were able to give some relief on parking
Oh,
for
yeah.
just the shuttles. We don't even know for fixed route, just the regular services, how many people use those. We
Okay.
did see some upticks in ridership,
Yes.
but for the specific shuttle saying, hey, you can park your car and try something new. And now we're doing it all the time. Now we're saying, hey, when there's a big event, you can count on SMART. And it's been wonderful to see that. The number one goal I have is to get new riders to try the system and find out just how easy it
Yeah.
is.
A little taste and then
A
they'll
little
maybe
taste.
ride. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
that's
put
when people don't ride transit, they normally will for a sports game or a big
Yes.
event, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but you got to have good service when they get on.
And so, real talk, we weren't doing any of this before we started seeing gains in on-time performance and seeing that, we put Wi-Fi on the express routes for our buses. We wanted to get some amenities. We cleaned up our shelters. We have a full-blown shelter program where everything has to be ADA compliant. We can't just do the pole in the grass and
Right,
expect
thank you.
people to want to use the service. And that's just what the community sees, right?
Yeah.
With low 1% mode share, how do people experience transit in their community? The shelter. Pick
Right.
up the garbage, clean up the shelter, pour the concrete pad, show it has some dignity and use. And then Paul, I almost forgot the most critical thing. You said, what's going on right now?
Yeah.
February 2025 to February 2026, my ridership on my most highly used routes is up 40%.
Up 40%.
40. I didn't believe it myself. I said, check every system
Yeah, yeah.
and tell me that this number is real. On Gratiot Avenue and Woodward Avenue, I'm up 40%. And I even have a crosstown. We increased frequencies, added some Wi-Fi. Even a crosstown's up 35% right now.
That's amazing, Tiffany.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Clean up the system, talk positively about it. I'm everywhere all the time.
I see it. I
It's
see
a
it
lot.
online. Yeah, I follow
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
On LinkedIn, and your system's doing great telling the story of transit.
Mhm.
What do you got next? What's so we've talked about what your past and your present. Now let's talk future.
So what's next? One of the opportunities of a lifetime I've had is to be a co-chair for the transition team for this historic mayor. And what we have been talking about is what are the things that are bold and new and exciting and useful to the public. And we're rolling out a program where all kids ride free. K
All
through
kids
12.
ride free.
K through 12. And for SMART, we're going to do post-secondary as well. So we've got the community colleges and a lot of more universities out there in that area. It's a tripper service. It's something that so many transit properties already do, and you're just using existing capacity. The fixed route is there. Create some relief for the families. And again, getting that young population to try transit so that as they grow into their adult space, they just naturally know that it's a real viable alternative. Have your car, wonderful, but also know that you don't need to use it every day. You can use public transportation. And so being able to provide that and to do it in conjunction with, in partnership with the city of Detroit is that's a real win for me because I don't see the jurisdictional lines. I see good mobility throughout the region. The other thing we're doing is we're turning on some new services. SMART has microtransit pilots throughout the region that we've been working on. We had 1 million rides at the end of last year on our pilot, and we are looking at expanding that service. So as we're working through this year's budget, we're looking to do more of that first mile, last mile connection. And there are so many things that we're doing. We're rolling out the Wi-Fi on the rest of the system. We only did the express routes for now. So we're going to continue with that. The kind of the less sexy things, but the things that are necessary is really shoring up our facilities. I cannot have one more ceiling tile fall. I cannot have one more incident that shows. I need to be able to demonstrate to my team, to my staff, that they are as important as the riders that we serve. And so for them to be in the space where the facility is shored up, Plumbing's working. You caught me on that one. That's funny. I did talk to you about that. The roofs are intact. And not just that, we're looking at the future. There's an opportunity for us to not just replace the roof, but to do the solar energy on the roof as well. Again, back to basics, plus. That plus is loaded, and that's where we're headed. I want to see on-time performance meet industry standard before the end of this year. I want it by the summertime, but I'm a realist.
Yeah.
Maintenance is a big deal with our vehicles. We got to make sure that we have the capacities to be able to produce. We've got the operators. When I came into Smart, we were 117 operators short to meet the promise of our schedule.
Wow.
That's what I said. How exactly are we supposed to do this? We're going to fail because we don't recruit well. We did a Drive a Bus with Us event. We invited the public to come and drive our buses on a racetrack. Oh boy, it was our legal team was like, whoa.
Yeah.
We said, what now? We were like, we'll have the principal trainers on the bus with them, or the master trainers on the bus with them. We'll be okay, right? And we had governors. They can only go so fast. It will not be a movie. It won't be speed. You saw it. But we recruited people.
That's
we got
funny.
aggressive,
Wow.
right? We got aggressive.
You recruited them from that?
We recruited a lot of people from that event. But the thing was, people heard about it and they're like, bus driver, I hadn't thought about it. But what I recognized, the secret sauce was, bus drivers kept saying, well, I'm just a bus driver. No, ma'am. No, sir. You are so much more than that. You're an ambassador. You're an economic driver. You are a psychologist, a psychiatrist some days for folks. You are a de-escalator of situations on buses. You're a friend to a lot of people, right? You are not just a bus driver. What you do is so important every day. And they didn't understand, again, just like seeing pull out in the morning, they didn't understand the magnitude of what it is they were contributing to. So having that conversation, most of my operators, I talked to every new hire class, most of the operators that came in off of a recommendation and referral from another bus operator. When they started to see themselves the way I see them, they started to tell other people, this is a good job.
Yeah.
It's amazing how quickly that turned around.
Wow.
Just about every one of my classes was about 90% referral based.
And how many total employees do you have at Smart?
981.
Almost 1,000 employees.
1,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Tiffany. All right, so here's what I've written down.
I can't wait to
your
hear.
keys to success.
All
Tell me if I'm right. So you have an attention to a level of detail, even at the CEO level. I think that is important. You've learned in the bowels of the organization how the operation runs, not just from the top, so to speak. A willingness to make hard decisions like on safety, shutting things down if you have to, being present, showing up, willing to get your hands dirty. You have focused on the integration of the region at the political level and at the regional level. You focus on the fundamentals, the facilities, and you value and partner with your operations teams, your drivers. Is that some of it? Collected some of it?
You got it, Paul. That's
right.
exactly it. And I have fun every day. This
I
is
love
fun.
that. Yeah.
We do. I enjoy what I do. It's exhausting, but it is fun and it's rewarding. I get good sleep at night.
So next year at Think Transit Executive Summit, why don't we put together a panel and you can be the anchor of it, where we have a bunch of CEOs come up and talk about what it takes to be a CEO, what it takes to be successful. Wouldn't that be good?
I would love that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love that.
That's good. We'll have to do that. Any closing thoughts you want to have for our listeners?
Paul, I think we talked about just about everything. What I wanted to say is thank you. What you do nationally and even internationally in terms of telling the story of these transit agencies helps us. I don't know if you realize it, but I've taken, you did We Go with Amanda just recently.
Yeah.
And her conversation, I pull from that, right? It gives me energy to say, oh, that's a way in which to tell the story I hadn't thought of before. And storytelling is sort of like how when we figured we had built everything and the next thing was everything was about the customer experience. Storytelling has become that now for public transit. We know what it is. But how you deliver it, how you talk about it, how you get people to pay attention, especially in a world where people just kind of infinitely scroll in a space where, brain capacity is limited, right?
Yeah.
How do we get them to notice, pay attention, advocate for, want, and decide to use public transit? What your podcast does, what your work does, is to help us tell that story in our own region. I love that we're not competitive with one another as transit properties. We pull from other people's ideas, and then our region too can be successful because we got those ideas from somewhere else. So just thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you. That's very wonderful. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the work you're doing there in Detroit and for our industry. I think you're becoming a model of what a CEO should be in our industry. And I'm going to help shine a light on that continually. I really have loved connecting with you here at Think Transit. I think It sounds like you've gotten a lot out of it, and we hope to have another one. For those of you who are listening to this and you're a senior executive, it's worth their time?
Absolutely. I can't wait to see you next year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Transit Unplugged, the world's #1 transit executive podcast. I'm Julie Gates, executive producer of the podcast. Many thanks to the team that makes this show happen. Host and producer Paul Comfort, producer Chris O'Keefe, editor Patrick Emile, associate producer Cindy Raskin. Transit Unplugged is being brought to you by Midaxo, passionate about moving the world's people. If you would enjoy behind-the-scenes insights and updates from the show, sign up for our weekly newsletter, which has links to can't-miss conversations with the biggest names in mobility. Head to transitunplugged.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Transit Unplugged.